and they were scampering into the courtyard of Yashodamai, and he was giving them as much butter as they could want. And Yashodamai came and saw that. Krishna ran away, and Yashodamai caught him, and ultimately she bound him around the waist with the rope of her love. And she tied him to the wooden grinding mortar and went back to perform her duties. We discussed it in detail yesterday. Krishna was thinking, now my mother has tied me up. I will perform more mischief than ever. And he looked around, and in the courtyard before him, he saw two massive trees. Arjun trees. When Krishna, just a little child, he cast his glance upon these trees. He was remembering the history of these trees. 100 celestial years before, Narada Muni happened to be walking around the area of Kailash in the heavenly worlds. Kuvera is the treasurer of the demigods. We could imagine how wealthy he is and how powerful he is. Just like in our temples, our ISKCON temples, we know how powerful the treasurer is. Because if you want any money, you have to please the treasurer. Well, he's the treasurer of all the heavenly worlds. So he's very famous and very affluent, and he had two sons, Nala Kuvera and Manigriva. And born and raised in such luxury and fame, and they were demigods themselves. Their bodies were beautiful and handsome and youthful and strong and so attractive. Queen Kunti prays there's 4 great defects to pure devotional service: beauty, knowledge, fame, high education, high birth. Because they have a tendency to make us proud. When you're proud, then you're envious of people who have more. You're condescending and arrogant of people who have less. And you're fearful and competitive about people who have about the same. It's a very disturbing lifestyle. And because of that, one cannot really feelingly call out Krishna's names unless a kinchana gochara. One really feels, I have nothing. That's humility. So they were enjoying with beautiful heavenly girls, and they were intoxicated with liquor, heavenly liquor. And they were bathing in a beautiful lake with lotus flowers. And they were singing songs with these ladies and drinking more and more of this heavenly beverage. They were naked. And Narada Muni walked by. And the girls were so ashamed they got out and covered themselves. But the 2 demigods didn't care anything. Why should we think about Narada Muni? We are Manigriva and Nala Kuvera. So Narada Muni was very merciful. He saw how intoxicated they were with arrogance. Now, when you have a really strong disease, sometimes you need strong medicine to counteract it. So he blessed them to become trees for 100 celestial years. A tree can't move. A tree can't change his clothes or put on jewels. A tree doesn't have any girlfriends. They just stood there. They couldn't move. But Narada Muni gave them the complete, full consciousness they had before living in the bodies of trees. Can you imagine that? Sometimes, we're in a hospital bed and we can't move, and we just can't wait till we can move. It's so frustrating. Yes? Well, here they are, standing as trees. And after about 100 celestial years, Krishna performed his leelas there. So they really, really got purified. And then they got to see Krishna's pastimes. And Krishna was remembering, Narada Muni blessed them, so they are very special to me. And I must fulfill the wish of Narada Muni to make them pure. That's how important it is to receive the blessings of great souls. If we could be dear to a great personality, Krishna will give us special mercy. Their qualification was simply Narada Muni's mercy. Srila Prabhupada was once asked, what is our qualification? And Srila Prabhupada said, you have no qualification. I gave you your qualification. It was his causeless mercy that opened the doors for us to take to Krishna consciousness and to come to Vrindavan. So to remember that and be grateful is very important. And actually Manigriva and Nalakuvera realized this. They realized Narada Muni's mercy upon them. So Krishna, acting like an ordinary little boy, crawled. And he happened to crawl right between these two trees as he was dragging the grinding mortar with a rope that his mother bound around his waist. The grinding mortar got stuck between the trees. So Krishna crawled a little more. Massive, up the trees broke and crashed down to the ground. And in the meanwhile, Manigriva and Nalakuvera in their demigod forms came out of the trees and they offered beautiful prayers to Lord Krishna. They surrendered their hearts. They explained their gratitude. They were totally humbled by the mercy of Narada Muni. How being attached and infatuated by too much wealth or too much beauty or too much knowledge or too much fame, we can't really receive the blessings and mercy of others. We can't beg. They begged. They concluded their prayers by begging from Krishna. The only thing we want is to always remember you and always be engaged in pleasing you by serving you with pure devotion. With Krishna's blessing, they were given the highest platform of bhakti and they returned to their abodes. Meanwhile, the crashing of these trees was such a difficult situation. Nanda Maharaj and the cowherd men came running to the scene. After Krishna knocked down these trees, the whole earth shook. His cowherd boyfriends, who were about his age, they were all just around him watching. And Krishna was smiling. He was smiling so sweetly at his friends. He just knocked down these trees. And then Nanda Maharaj came running. It was an emergency. These trees have fallen. And then he saw Krishna right in between these trees, just inches on each side of him. And as soon as Krishna was smiling at his friends, but as soon as he saw Nanda Maharaj running from behind, he began to cry. Krishna's Rasa Vihari. He knows how to churn the love in every one of his devotees in a perfect, unique way. So Nanda Maharaj sees Krishna between these two trees that have just fallen and shaken the earth, and Krishna's crying, and Nanda Maharaj unties the rope around Krishna's waist, and he picks up Krishna, and he said, Nanda Maharaj already knew what happened, because Yashodamai told him. But still he asked, who is the person who has done this to you? And Krishna had tears in his eyes. He said, my mother did it. Yashodamai, she was repenting. Her heart was completely broken. She tied up Krishna, and now all this has happened. Nanda Maharaj asked the little children, what happened? And the children, the gopas, they said, oh, and they told, Krishna crawled, and the grinding mortar that Yashodamai tied him to got caught between, and he pulled, and these trees fell down. And Nanda Maharaj and the cowherd men said, that's impossible. How could Krishna do like this? So Nanda Maharaj took Krishna to the Yamuna River, and together they bathed. And Nanda Maharaj had Brahmins chanting mantras for Krishna's protection. And he himself was praying to Lord Narayan to protect his little child. Then they came home and took their meal together. But Yashodamai would not show her face to either Krishna or Nanda Maharaj. She was so ashamed. She was so repentant that she tied up little baby Krishna, and look what happened. He almost got crushed because of her activities. She felt completely at fault. She was simultaneously ashamed to show her face to Krishna, and she was almost dying of separation from Krishna. So Nanda Maharaj and Balaram and Krishna, they ate their meal of prasad, and then they took rest for some time. And then when evening was coming, they all went to the Goshala at the time of the milking of cows. And Nanda Maharaj, just to please Krishna and Balaram, he brought a special sweetener from the house and added it to the fresh milk of the Sarabi Kamadhenu cows and gave to Krishna to drink. Then they returned home. And Rohini, the mother of Balaram, when she saw Krishna, Balaram, and Nanda Maharaj sitting very playfully together, she said, Yashodamai, she has not eaten anything all day. She hasn't spoken a single word to anyone. She's suffering. She's grief-stricken. And Nanda Maharaj, with a very sympathetic tone in his voice, he said to Krishna, "Will you go to your mother?" And Krishna, with tears in his eyes, he said, "No, I will stay with you." And some of the gopis were there, the wives of Nanda Maharaj's brothers. And they said, "How can you do this to your mother? Whose milk will you drink?" And Krishna said, "My father will give me fresh milk from the cows with nice sweeteners." And the gopi said, "Who you will play with?" And Krishna said, "I will play with my father and my brother Balaram." Nanda Maharaj said, "Will you not go to your mother, Krishna?" And Krishna again, he started to cry. He said, "She left me. And when I needed her most, she went away." Rohini said, "Your mother is suffering." And Krishna cried even more, and he gazed upon his father. And then Rohini, she indicated to Balaram, "Bring Krishna to his mother." And Balaram approached Krishna, and Krishna jumped on his father and embraced his father to protect him from Balaram. Nanda Maharaj, he whispered to Krishna, "My beloved son, if your mother is in this condition," and then he became choked up. He said, "I don't know what will happen to your mother," indicating that she will die. Immediately Krishna, tears pouring from his eyes, he cried out, "Where is my mother? Where is my mother? I will go." And he jumped into the lap of Rohini. Rohini brought her to the room where Yashoda Mai was sitting. And Krishna ran to her, crying out, "Mother, mother." Yashoda Mai jumped up and ran to Krishna. And Krishna jumped in her arms, and she embraced him. And the two of them incessantly cried with joy. And Krishna was fed the milk from Yashoda Mai. On this day, the gopis gave Krishna the name Damodar, one who is bound by the waist, by the love of his mother. In Damodarastakam, which we will be singing very soon, Satyabrat Muni, the author, he concludes these prayers, "I offer my obeisances to that rope, the rope of the love of the devotee that bonds Krishna. And I offer my obeisances to Srimati Radharani, who is the supreme origin of that rope. She is Vrindavaneshwari. Everything in Vrindavan eternally is created simply to facilitate the love of Sri Radha for Krishna. And every living being in Vrindavan for all of eternity experiences ever increasing ecstatic happiness. Just to participate in the beautiful love between Krishna and Sri Radha and Sri Radha and Sri Krishna. And to taste the sweetness of Sri Radha's love and to distribute it to the world, Krishna comes as Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And there's a similar pastime I'd like to share. When Nimai was just a child, one day a pilgrim Brahmin came to his home. This Brahmin was a very pure devotee. He worshipped Gopal, Krishna. Around his neck, there was a Shalagram Shila and a small deity of Gopal. And he was constantly remembering Gopal through constantly chanting the 6-syllable Gopal mantra. And Jagannath Mishra, when he came to his house as a beggar, Jagannath Mishra could recognize that this is a very pure devotee. So he welcomed him in his house, he washed his feet. He said, "Where are you from? Where is your home?" And the pilgrim said, "I don't have a home. I wander wherever my heart takes me." Jagannath Mishra said, "That is the good fortune of the whole world that you wander around like this to purify and bless us all. Please cook food. We will prepare the kitchen for you." So he was very happy. So Sachi Devi and the other relatives and neighbors, along with Jagannath Mishra, they cleaned the kitchen really nicely and brought nice bhoga. And the Brahmin cooked. And after he cooked, he put his deity of Gopal and Shalagram down. And he offered the bhoga to his beloved Lord. And just as he was offering it, he happened to hear something, and he opened his eyes, and he saw little Nimai with a handful of rice that he just cooked for Gopal in his mouth. He was smiling and eating it. The Brahmin was shocked. This never happened to him before. He cried out, "Hi, hi!" That means alas. This child has spoiled Gopal's offering. He was so emotional. Immediately everybody looked and they saw Nimai eating the rice. Jagannath Mishra picked up a stick and charged at Nimai. Nimai got up to run away, and the Brahmin grabbed Jagannath Mishra. He said, no, you cannot punish this child. He's so small. He doesn't know right from wrong. You can't teach him a lesson. It's not his fault. And all the relatives were holding back Jagannath Mishra. And of course he wouldn't hit the child. He just wanted to scare him and teach him a lesson. They begged the Brahmin, "Cook again. We'll clean everything up because Gopal's offering is spoiled. Cook again." He said, "I already cooked once. It is not my destiny to eat nice rice and other prasad. Just bring some fruits and roots and I'll be happy." And they begged him and begged him and begged him until he said, "All right, I will cook again." So they cleaned the kitchen, they brought new food. And Jagannath Mishra said, "Watch Nimai." So Sachimata picked him up and brought him to a neighbor's house and told the neighboring ladies, "Don't let him come." And they said, "We will not let him come." So the Brahmin was cooking, and the ladies were just passing little Nimai from arm to arm. They were embracing him, and he was putting them in such ecstasy. And they were joking with him. They said, "Why did you steal that Brahmin's food?" And Nimai smiled. He said, "What is my fault? He called for me and I came. He offered it to me and I ate it." They said, "You don't even know where this person comes from. You don't know anything about his past. You could lose your caste by eating food from an unknown stranger." And he said, "I'm a Gopa. I'm a cowherd boy. How could I lose my caste eating from a Brahmin?" And they were laughing. What is this words that he's speaking? And he was dancing and they were singing, and he mesmerized them to such an extent that just when the offering was being made again, he slipped away and nobody even noticed. And as the Brahmin was making his mantra, he looked up, or he looked down, and there was Nimai with a handful of rice in his mouth, smiling. Hi! The child spoiled my offering again, and Jagannath Mishra picked up his stick and went charging, and Nimai ran really fast into a room. And all the relatives held Jagannath Mishra. He said, "I have to teach my son. How could he do these things? If I don't teach him, how will he ever learn?" And they all begged the Brahmin to cook again. The Brahmin said, "It's already too late. I will not cook again. Please, just bring me some fruits and roots. That's what I eat in the jungles." Jagannath Mishra sat with his head in his hands in total grief. Then Vishwarup entered the room, Nimai's brother, who's an expansion of Lord Balaram, Nityananda Balaram. When he saw Vishwarup, the pilgrim was so enchanted. He said, "Whose son is this?" "This is Jagannath Mishra's son." And Vishwarup bowed down to him and said, "We are so fortunate. You are such a great sage and you have come to our house to bless us, but we're so unfortunate that you haven't eaten. Please cook again." He said, "Already 4.5 hours, the Brahmin said. 4.5 hours of the night have already passed. It's too late to cook again. It's not my destiny to eat cooked food. Give me some fruits and roots." Vishwarup said, "Don't you see how everyone in the house is suffering? Great sages like you are merciful to everyone. So please cook again and make everyone happy." And then Vishwarup fell at his feet, held on to those feet of the Brahmin and begged him to cook. And just to please Vishwarup, he said, "All right, I will cook." Jagannath Mishra said, "Bolt the door in the room that Nimai is in." So everyone was guarding Nimai. They bolted the door. And the lady said, "He's fast asleep. There's nothing to worry. Still, guard him." So it's the middle of the night. The Brahmin cooked. He chanted the Gopal mantra when it was time for the offering. And little Nimai, he heard his name. Nidra Devi, the goddess of sleep, was called by Nimai, and everyone in the house except the Brahmin fell fast asleep. Total quiet. As he was offering the bhoga, he looked down, and there was Nimai sitting right beside the plate, eating mouthful after mouthful of rice. Hi, hi! Hi, hi! The child has spoiled my offering. But no one heard him. Nimai smiled. He said, "What is my fault? You have called me by my name, and I came to accept the offering. Birth after birth, you are my devotee. And birth after birth, you have called me, and I have come to accept your offerings. You don't remember, but I'll remind you. You were a pilgrim Brahmin long ago, and you came to Gokul, to the house of Nanda Maharaj. And you made an offering just like this, and I came and ate your offering and spoiled your offering just like this at that time." He said, "I am that Gopal that you are calling." And suddenly Nimai manifested a beautiful form. And he told the Brahmin, "See." The Brahmin looked at him. His complexion was like a freshly formed monsoon rain cloud. His eyes were like fully bloomed lotus petals. In 4 arms, he was holding a conch shell, a lotus flower, a club, and a chakra. And then 4 arms manifested. 2 were playing a flute. And the other 2, in one hand was the pot of butter, and the other was eating that butter. He had a peacock feather in his hair, a beautiful Kostubamani, Vajayanti Mala. And the Brahmin saw, "It is my beloved Gopal." He saw a magnificent Kadamba tree. And behind he saw the flowing of the river Yamuna, the forest of Vrindavan, limitless chirping birds. He saw gopis and gopas and cows. Everything he meditated upon was now manifested before his eyes. In ecstatic love, the pilgrim fell to the ground unconscious. And Nimai, in this beautiful darshan, he touched him with his own hand, and that touch just electrified him with the ecstasy of grace. And Nimai told him, "Do not tell anyone what you have seen as long as I am living within this world. I have incarnated to begin the Sankirtan movement of the congregational chanting of the holy names. Through Harinam Sankirtan, I have come to flood this world with prema bhakti, ecstatic love. And this Sankirtan will spread to every country of the world. In every house, I will spread my love. And then he told the Brahmin that you stay here in Navadvip and you come and see me every day, but don't tell anyone who I am. And then the little boy, or the beautiful form of Krishna, manifested the form of little Nimai, and he went back into the room that was bolted, and he went to sleep. This pilgrim was in such ecstasy. He was crying so loudly, with such feeling, with such loving emotion. Jai Gopal, Jai Gopal. Jai Gopal, Jai Gopal. And he was eating the rice. And he was taking the rice and he was smearing it on every limb of his body, and he was eating more and smearing and eating and smearing and dancing all over the house. Jai Gopal, Jai Gopal. Jai Gopal, Jai Gopal. Everyone woke up. And when he heard people coming, he immediately washed his whole body and sat down and was eating nicely. They said, "What happened?" He said, "I am very happy." Vrindavan Das Thakur tells, anyone who hears this beautiful pastime with faith will get Krishna Prema by the mercy of Lord Chaitanya. If we deeply appreciate the Lord's pastimes with a grateful heart, those pastimes which are none different than Lord Chaitanya, none different than Krishna, transform our hearts and awaken the bhav of love. One day in Gokul, an elderly lady, she had no education, she had no caste. She just would collect fruit from the forest and go village to village to try to sell her fruit. So when she came to Gokul, she cried out, "I have fruit, does anyone want to buy?" And little Gopal, he was just a child, running around and playing with his friends. He was seeing so many times his mother was bartering grains for other articles. So he filled his little tiny hand with wheat grains. And he went running. And as he was running, because his hand was so small and so soft, the grains were falling from between his fingers and from all the sides. And when he finally came to the fruit vendor, there was only one or two little tiny grains in his hand, and he smiled at her and said, "Give me fruit, I will buy." His smile was so charming, so beautiful. It melted her heart. She only wanted to please this child. She said, "I will put as many fruits as you could carry in your hands." And little Gopal opened his hands and she filled it with fruits, and then he held out his arms and she filled his arms, and he smiled at her and ran home. She was so happy. So happy, she just wanted to get more fruits to bring to the child. What happened is, because she satisfied Krishna's wishes, her basket was overflowing with the most precious jewels. Emeralds, rubies, diamonds, pearls. She was a billionaire. But she didn't even notice it. She just was eager to get more fruit for Krishna. because she saw it made him happy. So she picked up her basket. She didn't notice the weight. She ran back to the forest, ran back to her little hut, went to gather more fruit. When she went to put the fruit in the basket, she saw the basket was filled with jewels. She just dumped the jewels aside and filled her basket with fruit and ran back to Gokul and cried out, "Gopal, Gopal, I've brought you more fruit." And Gopal came and smiled upon her. That smile is the ultimate wealth. Prem Nidhi, the ultimate treasure, is when Krishna smiles upon us. Samsiddhir Haritoshanam, when Krishna is pleased. Because that's what prem is, to please Krishna. And Krishna is only pleased by our love. Krishna wanted to share the love of this simple lady with all of the Brijabasis. Because these fruits are the personification of the simple lady's love. And Krishna told Yashoda Mai that, "I have all these fruits, let's distribute it to all our relatives and friends." She said, "Where did you get these fruits?" He said, "There was a simple lady that was selling them, and I bought them." She said that she's a stranger. You don't even know who she is. You can't just trust everyone like you trust your own relatives. And Krishna smiled. He said, "I don't know what it means to not trust somebody. Let's distribute these fruits." So just to please Krishna, Yashoda Mai was giving fruits, and Krishna was handing the fruits to her, and she was handing for days and days and days, thousands and thousands and thousands of fruits she was giving to everyone. There was no end. Krishna loves to distribute the love of his devotees. Mad bhakta pujapyadika. What is real wealth? In Lord Chaitanya's pastimes, during the Mahaprakash Leela, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was fulfilling all the desires of his devotees. Radha Bhavaduti Suvalitam Nomi Krishna Swarupam. He's Krishna with the sentiments and complexions of Sri Radha, but in the role of a devotee. And only on the rarest occasions did he actually reveal his supremacy. And during these 21 hours of ecstasy, he sat on the throne of Vishnu and manifested whatever particular incarnation each devotee worshipped. To Murari Gupta, he became Ram. As he was sitting